prosecution of felon gangster mafiotic negroidic, the Black Frank Gelada, a gangster judge, therefore unprosecutable, the blackish, menial, negroidic in appearance and demeanor, felon, vicious, parroting puppet, ex-district attorney Nassau County, with no private law experience, detested by all factions, in spite of this, solely because of his many-year secret gangsterization and crucifixion of me, this negroidic, low, mafiotic, deadly Black Frank Gelada was then immediately and unprecedentedly and repeatedly, rapidly promoted in spite of tremendous opposition to the present position of second highest state judgeship solely through gangster computer god manipulation. As additional evidence, during the last week of my within-mentioned month-long, worse-than-a-farce Nazi court criminal trial in Nassau County Court, 1958, where dwarfed-it felon gangster parroting puppet rectum lapper sodomist Judge William Sullivan's ball of fat felon slut wife, she, as planned, sat in the front row, repeatedly stripping her overclothes and completely pulling up her dress and slip and pulling aside her old-fashioned pink bloomers in order to display her anus, her conch. She repeatedly gesticulated and whispered, "I'll give it to you to suck. Finish him." Her husband, dwarfed-it felon gangster parroting puppet rectum lapper sodomist Judge William Sullivan, flushed-faced in repeated open sodomistic displays, stuck out his tongue, wiggling it, chuckling to her. "You hangman rope gangster felon parroting puppet scum on top playboys can watch my Frankenstein eyesight television playback of this felonious lowly sodomistic display by the felon sodomist Judge William Sullivan and his lowly felon slut wife during my trial in Nassau County Court. After my worse-than-Nazi court criminal conviction, crucifixion, for years in poverty I suffered hopeless, jobless, character assassination, and isolation in this low, deadly nigger town. I was the repeat target victim of this gangster government's gangsterization and undetectable extermination attempts to shut me up forever with my secrets. Then, in December 14th to 17th, 1965, I attempted to escape this worst mongrel gangster communist country to return to the Slovenic Polish land of my forefathers. Instead, in a gangster-staged parroting puppet deadly conspiracy, I was flown from Kennedy, New York Airport at night to a small, distant St. Lawrence River estuary, snowbound small airport under the guise that I was in Warsaw, Poland. Immediately, many, many things proved this to me, including the two big white asbestos-shingled hangars with the large Braniff Airways signs on their sidewalls, in addition to the many blurted statements I solicited from the many CIA deadly gangsters, the assassins of me, the many, many parroting puppets all around me. I demanded an immediate flight back to Kennedy, New York Airport. Instead, I was held captive all night, later in chains. I refused both all food and requests I go to sleep. Then CIA police gangsters pretending to be Polish police with no identification beat me bloodily. Later, while my return trip 707 Boeing jet airliner was being serviced for my return trip, I quickly walked into the airplane and saw a CIA gangster with a small electric hairdryer type blower pumping deadly poison nerve gas smoke into secret compartments under the ashtrays in the arms of the chairs, where later I was ordered to sit in the airplane full of CIA underlings, passengers, my assassins, who giggled as they watched me dragged in chains by the airplane by the gangster CIA police gangsters. These deadly gangster CIA passengers, they pressed the frontal panel of the ashtrays in the seat arms to release the deadly poison nerve gas smoke.
All right. Good evening, good afternoon, good day, good whatever. As of right now, there are 4 days, 9 hours, 3 minutes, and 20 seconds left of the Trump administration. And only moments ago, or actually I don't know if it was moments ago, but today, Giuliani, having just recently name-dropped Nick Fuentes and fucking up his name like epic style, or however you want to say it, has thrown the Groypers under the bus in a totally predictable move. Having been alerted that the Groypers are not okay with Zionism, although they seem to be okay with Zion Don. And I really look. This is not the dunk on people. This is a learning experience. I think this is a nice little learning experience that these people. Look, Giuliani especially. Giuliani was involved with 9/11. Okay, Giuliani's not a good guy. Trump's not a good guy. Like, I remember all these people. I'll play the clip here in a second, but I remember all these people saying every year at 9/11, it was like they were hoping, well, maybe this is the year that Trump will finally release the 9/11 stuff, right? And then he wouldn't, of course. But they would every year play that clip of Donald Trump. Well, I guess there's multiple clips on 9/11 talking about how it was crazy. Those towers shouldn't have been able to fall down. And they'd always say, he knows. He knows. Yeah, guess what? He knows. Of course he knows. Of course he knows. He also knew about Epstein. Of course he knows. And now that he's going to be gone, sorry, Q people, now that he's going to be gone, those 9/11 documents, they'll come out around the same time the JFK documents come out. Actually not. They'll come out 50 years after the JFK documents come out, if they ever come out. They're never coming out. And yes, he knows. And yes, he's still a Zionist. In fact, I find it hard to believe that Trump wasn't on board. I mean, he had to have been, right? He didn't rat anyone out for it. He certainly didn't seem to mind Alan Dershowitz's close relationship with Epstein and hired him as a lawyer. Didn't mind Giuliani's close relationship with 9/11, or hell, I mean, look at his staff. A lot of those people are tied either at least tangentially, like a lot of these guys. But anyway, let's get to the clip here. This is Giuliani, I believe, earlier today. The audio is pretty bad, so I'll let it loop once, and then if you still have problem, I mean, the audio is pretty bad. I don't know what to tell you, because I'm not the one that got it. It was one of those things where like a boomer filmed their TV or something like that, but it is what it is. So here we go.
That riot was set up by Antifa, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe, right, crazy, radical ones that are they don't belong with MAGA country and Trump supporters.
Some of these guys have been arrested with stuff where they're threatening to kill the president because he supports Israel. It's that bad. And there's a third group we can't identify yet. That riot was set up by Antifa, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe, right, crazy, radical ones that are they don't belong with MAGA country and Trump supporters.
Some of these guys have been arrested with stuff where they're threatening to kill the president because he supports Israel. It's that bad. And there's a third group we can't identify.
So you hear that? You guys are a fringe anti-Semitic group. Interesting choice of words, considering all the anti-Semitism legislation that's getting passed under. Well, Trump signed the anti-Semitism bill just the other day, and that extreme right-wing terrorism bill will be signed in short order, I'm sure, in the next days, maybe weeks, so they can add on some more stuff. You are not MAGA, they say. You're a fringe group. You are not MAGA. And they're right. They're right. I've never been able to figure out how it's cognitive dissonance. It's like, how can you hold these two opposing views? That one, that Israel's influence in this country is bad, that the assault on liberty was bad, that that 9/11 was definitely at least guided, if not outright planned out specifically by Zionists so that we would go to war with Israel's enemies. I don't know how you can simultaneously believe all that and support Trump. And Giuliani is saying you can't, along with that OAN rent a news anchor guy that's like, oh, no, yeah, they're not, they're definitely not part of MAGA country. No way. You're the enemy. You're upsetting the way of things. When they were going down and talking and doing these things with, what what's his face? Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is a mouthpiece for Trump. If Charlie Kirk says it, Trump approves of it. I mean, you could only blame the people around this guy, like, oh no, it's all Kushner. Trump's actually based. No, he's not. No, he's not. And he was one of the worst presidents we have ever had. And he's proving that more and more every single fucking day. Every day. For at least 4 more days. He pardoned Jared Kushner's dad, a literal fucking Jewish gangster. His first pardon was a Jewish gangster. Who do you think Trump is? Who do you think he is? Look, and I get it. I get it if in 2016, like, I mean, look, in 2016, I was, I had high hopes for the guy too, you know? But by 2020, you should have figured it out. Yeah, and someone in chat just said Jonathan Pollard. Yep. I mean, look, Trump was probably the first literally Jewish president. He let out a spy that was guilty of treason that should have faced the firing squad, honestly. So that he could fly on Sheldon Adelson's private jet and have a hero's welcome met by Netanyahu on the tarmac. Who do you think this guy is? Who do you think this guy is? Trump is probably one of the worst presidents this country has ever had. And you know what? I'm starting to think this. Remember when the WikiLeaks released the Hillary Clinton emails? And in one of the emails, they referred to Trump as the Pied Piper candidate. And everyone thought, you know what that probably means is everyone will vote for, you know, if we can get Trump to make it through the primary, he has no chance of winning in the general. And so he'll just lead him off a cliff. I don't know. I'm starting to think about this a little more. Starting to think about this a little bit more. In the context of 2021, in early 2021, with 4 days left of a presidency, right after Trump has thrown everyone under the bus, everyone, including Giuliani. He's not paying Giuliani's legal bills. What do you think that means now? What do you think Pied Piper candidate means now? What did you get out of Trump these last 4 years? Ask yourself, really, realistically. And I don't mean like maybe some weird policy or, you know, something that like you've heard some pundit say. Something in your life. Something in your life directly that affects you. Did the positives outweigh the negatives? Do they? Do they? And all the sacrifice, all the time, and in some people's cases, money. And we've talked about this a million times. All the other sacrifices you might have made in your personal life to support this guy. Was it worth it? Was it worth it just so that you could be thrown under the bus? You can be blamed for, rather than Trump saying, look, this wasn't a fucking insurrection. This was some people going to the Capitol and taking selfies. If this was an insurrection, you guys would be dead. Rather than saying that, he says, oh no, it's this fringe anti-Semitic group called the Groypers. It's the Groypers. They're not MAGA. They're definitely not MAGA. They're not MAGA. You want to watch it again? Let's watch it one more time because the audio was really bad.
That riot was set up by Antifa, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe, right, crazy, radical ones that are no...
Just a bunch of sick anti-Semites. The fringe, right, crazy people. The radical, crazy people. How dare you? How dare you not want to have Israel's dick in your mouth? How dare you? You bunch of sick, crazy fuckers. You sick animals. You disgusting animals.
By another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe, right, crazy, radical ones that are they don't belong with MAGA country and Trump supporters.
Some of these guys have been arrested with stuff where they're threatening to kill the president because he supports Israel.
Wait, hold on. Really? Some of the Groypers have been arrested because they've been threatening to kill the president for supporting Israel? What? See, that's just bullshit right there. Unless there's something I don't know. I feel like that's a story I would have heard of. This is full on blame everyone but Trump. Trump never takes ownership. Trump never takes the fucking blame. He burns and destroys everyone around him. He abandons them just like General fucking Flynn, just like Roger Stone, just like Julian fucking Assange. Julian Assange, remember how every single rally, WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks, WikiLeaks. I think his second day on the job, he was asked, well, do you still love WikiLeaks? And he's like, WikiLeaks? I don't know anything about WikiLeaks. Or his whole lock her up. Lock her up, lock her up. Oh, that plays well before the election. Now we don't care. That's a quote. That's a quote. Because he's a lying sack of shit con man. Not only is he a lying sack of shit conman, he's handing over the keys to the White House to an usurper because he's too much of a faggot to do anything about it. And meanwhile, everyone that wanted to do something about it, he's calling you guys domestic terrorists. He's calling you fringe, crazy, anti-Semitic radicals. You figuring it out yet? You got played. It's all right. I got played too. I mean, fuck. I was all over the Donald in 2016 posting Trump propaganda. I had high hopes. But once that's the thing is, the biggest thing that I see people doing, and this isn't just with Trump, this is just something everyone's always done, especially with presidential candidates for some reason, but just politicians in general. But I've seen this again and again and again, where people will say this, and it's because they expect politicians to lie, right? And they'll always say, well, no, he really wants to do X. But he can't do X because if he said, or he can't say he wants to do X because if he did, the media would write mean stories about him. And then, that would be bad. And it's not just with Trump. That's not like new reasoning. This is the excuse that everyone has given their candidates. I mean, fucking Obama bots used to say that same shit about Obama when he wasn't closing down Gitmo and doing the stuff that he said he was going to do. The answer is just no. No. If he wanted to do it, he would do it. If Trump wanted to end birthright citizenship, he would have done it. But what Trump did every single time, think about this. Trump would do something, and then it would go to the courts, and then he wouldn't fight it. He wouldn't send his DOJ or anyone to really go fight it. And so the courts would overturn it, and he'd be like, oh, sorry, guys, I tried. And that's like the handful of things that he actually tried. Like a lot of shit he didn't even ever try. Like the birthright citizenship stuff, he didn't even fucking try. He just said, oh, yeah, no, I'm totally going to do it. Make sure you vote for the GOP in the midterms, because I'm totally going to do it right after the midterms. That never fucking happened. He never even mentioned it again after the midterms. That was it. That was the last time you heard anything out of his mouth about that. Because he was a lying sack of shit. He was one of the worst presidents ever. And honestly, if you weren't able to see this shit, you're basically in the same bracket as the Q people for the same fucking reason. Okay, maybe you're not trusting the Q plan. Maybe you're not trusting the obviously insane schizophrenic plan, but you're still trusting a plan, right? You still think there's some kind of plan, maybe. You're still not applying pressure. You're still not criticizing Trump. And part of that's because the media was criticizing him so much, you got extra sensitive, right? Your feelings would get hurt. You didn't want to pile on the guy. You felt bad for him. No, fuck that. Like the media matters anymore. Like, we are the fucking media. Who gives a shit what MSNBC is saying? No one watching MSNBC is going to vote for him anyway. Who gives a fuck? The fact that Trump not once got booed at any of his rallies while talking about black unemployment for the bazillionth fucking time. Or talking about like his anti-Semitism laws, or like how he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, like all this shit that like no one really gives a fuck about except for Zionists. Not only are you not applying political pressure to him, you're also like, think about all the other, look, there's people in that crowd that are just salivating and drooling all over the oh my god, they're coming their pants because they're swept up in the Trump thing. Trump could literally say, anything, and they would cheer, right? But if they were in a big stadium full of Trump supporters, and Trump said something about, giving Israel more money, and then half, or not even half, maybe 20% of the stadium started booing. Those NPCs might, why are they booing? Now, look, some of them are going to be like, oh, I guess some Biden supporters got in here. Rah, I'm retarded. But some people might think, well, that's weird. I thought we liked giving money to Israel. What? These people seem to not like it. But no, everyone was trusting the plan. Trusting the plan. And now you're going to be on lists. I'm not laughing at you. I'm on that fucking list too. It just is what it is. We got played. And like I said, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. Because now he's handing over the keys. He's handing over the keys to an illegitimate president. Because he's too much of a pussy to do anything else. So he's just awful on like every measure. Every measure. And all these people saying, including myself, I think I've said this in the past. I don't think I agree with this anymore. People saying that, well, at least Trump, he got rid of the trust that the people had in media. by calling them fake news. I don't think that that was even something he was trying to do. I just think that he's so much of a narcissist that he just wanted to call them fake news. And look, they were lying. And look, if it wasn't Trump, it would have been someone else. Because the internet, that switchover of getting your news from the TV set, like I said, even boomers are going, unfortunately, they're going to bitchute in apparently large numbers, driving the trending page into somewhere crazy. But that switch was going to happen anyway. Now, maybe he made it happen faster. I don't know. But it doesn't make up for all the other bullshit. It really doesn't. It doesn't. Because now, he didn't move the football for us at all. At all. It's exactly where it was. In fact, we might have lost a few yards. And now the enemy is pissed and out for blood. Now look, they didn't like you before. But they weren't talking about treating you like domestic terrorists before either. I'd much rather be in a basket of deplorables than a basket of domestic terrorists. Worst president ever. Now, the funny thing is, I think Giuliani, because when I was looking for that video, because I saw that video on Twitter, and I was like, I got to download that. And in looking for that video, I found this one from just a few days prior, and he's literally trying to quote Nick, and I think what happened was he just had no idea who that was, and then someone was like, "Oh, sir, he's an anti-Semite," and then he had to go all out against him. And plus, he's just a fucking bumbling fool. He's so, I don't know. I'll play the clip just so you can see. I feel bad for the guy. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't feel bad for the guy. Fuck him. But he does seem like a grandpa that has just suddenly noticed he has no idea where he is. So here's this.
Tape, heard the narrative, and I believe the gentleman's name is Nick Fuentes, and Nick Fuentes, and he makes the point the obvious point, that this was something that was put together by the left movement. It doesn't necessarily only mean Antifa. It means others that were trying to do anything they can to destroy any attempt that Trump had to rectify the massive voter theft of the Biden campaign. It was intended to make Trump look bad, it was I guess I can summarize Nick Fuentes in my own words, which kind of a law enforcement words. It was clearly a frame-up, like Russian collusion.
That riot was set up by Antifa, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe right, crazy radical ones that are...
By another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe right, crazy radical ones that are they don't belong with MAGA country and Trump supporters.
Some of these guys have been arrested with stuff where they're threatening to kill the president because he supports Israel. It's that bad. And there's a third group we can't.
So, again, who was arrested with quote stuff threatening to kill the president because he supports Israel? Who is he talking about? Did Baked Alaska have a threatening letter and what happened? Where was this incident that I've never heard of, where a Groyper was gonna threaten the president for supporting Israel. That's the exact opposite of what was happening. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But I'll tell you what, I do think a lot of people will learn. And look, I've never criticized that crowd for hanging on to Trump for so long because, look, I'm one to talk. I supported fucking Bush. You know, I supported the official 9/11 story. I get it. When you're younger and you don't realize like how fucking bad these people are, because you're not bad, right? So you have to borrow from your own life experience, and you can only imagine. You know, in fact, the funny thing is, the better someone is, the less likely they are to understand evil in other people, right? So if you're just like this normal person that's not a total sociopath or evil motherfucker, and you haven't had like a lot of face-to-face time with actual evil, you're not gonna be able to understand what these people are capable of doing. But look, I've seen evil. I've looked evil right in the fucking eye. And these people are evil. Both sides. You know, over and over and over again, you always hear you're falling for the left-right paradigm. No, what you mean is you're falling for the Republican-Democrat paradigm. You know, that's a false dichotomy. But there is a difference between people on the right and people that want to chemically castrate children, have drag queen story hour, remove, this is a story we'll get in today, remove gendered language from the House floor. That's now banned. You can't say mother. You can't say son. You can't say grandfather. You can't say policeman. Can't say fireman. That's the left-right divide. That exists. AOC today is trying to get more funding for what she calls white supremacist terror. She said, quote, "The white supremacist cause is futile and it's nihilist." She said their world will never exist. And that's why we're seeing violence right now. She literally wants to make camps. She wants to make re-education camps because we need to rehabilitate these people. And she's not the only one saying this. There are a handful of senators that have said the exact same thing. They've said, we've gotten rid of Trump, but we haven't gotten rid of the Trump supporter problem. And that's a problem we have to address. We have to address it. We have to deprogram. These are words they're using. We have to deprogram these people. Now, look, on a certain level, I'm almost agreeing when you look at the trending page on BitChute and you see these guys and their predictions. It's insane. It's insanity. The whole first page is just people giving hope to the Qtards because they don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it. And Team MAGA is letting it happen because they're still fundraising. Right now, they're still fundraising. And those are the people that are sending the most money. Because, look, they can throw the Groypers under the bus because they don't have money. The boomers, they have the money. So if the boomers want to be in this fantasy land that makes them think that they're fighting satanic pedophiles for them, and they need all the money they can get to fight the satanic pedophiles that just seem to miraculously never get arrested, they'll stretch that out as long as humanly possible. Now, I've seen somewhere that Tom Hanks, if you want the Q people to lose it, I almost wonder if Biden, or at least maybe someone that works for him, knows this, because I'm going to look this up now. I saw something, and I wish I'd bookmarked it, that Tom Hanks was going to do something for the inauguration. Which is, let me take a look here. Yeah. Oh, boy. So this is good. This is from Vanity Fair. Tom Hanks will soothe the nation with Biden inauguration special. You guys ready for this? The Q people are going to love this one. America's dad is ready to heal the nation. Oh, that's interesting language there, isn't it? Tom Hanks is set to host a 90-minute inauguration special that will air across multiple networks, honoring President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Titled Celebrating America, the special will air Wednesday night, January 20th, and will celebrate the beginning of a new national journey toward an America united, according to the Presidential Inaugural Committee. The special, which will air across ABC, CBS, CNN, NBC, and MSNBC, will feature remarks from Biden and Harris. It will also highlight American heroes who are helping their fellow Americans through this crisis, including frontline workers, healthcare workers, teachers, citizens giving back, and those who are breaking barriers. You can only imagine what that means. Justin Timberlake, Bon Jovi, and Aunt Clemens and Demi Lovato are also slated to perform, and so forth. So all these people, all these Q people that said, well, Tom Hanks. I don't know if you guys know, this is how crazy town the Q thing got for a while. They thought that Tom Hanks had an underground pedo dungeon and was torturing kids, and that that ship, I don't know if you guys remember that, there was a medical ship that went to LA for the COVID garbage, and they were saying, yeah, that ship is for when they rescue the kids, they can bring them on board that ship, and then there was that weird guy. This was actually weird. We never heard what happened with this. That guy tried to ram a train into the ship. Do you guys remember that? That got memory hold. That was weird. I'll give him that. That was kind of weird. But at the end of the day, it probably was just some random psycho, because guess what? Those people exist. Those people exist. Fuck, he could have been a Q guy because he thought that there was kids on there. You know what I mean? But anyway, after, of course, Tom Hanks wasn't arrested, and fuck, there were so many people telling me, oh no, I know Tom Hanks was in this video. See, this is why I don't think you guys understand why I rail so much on this. I've been sifting through this fucking garbage for years now. People have been sending me the most ridiculous shit for so long. Oh no, that's not really Tom Hanks. Look, here's a picture of Tom Hanks' brother. He looks just like him. That's Tom Hanks' brother. Like, remember when the Trump video came out? Like, oh, that's definitely a deep fake. You can tell by the way his neck moves. Trump's not really throwing us under the bus. It's a deep fake. So they were saying that about Tom Hanks, the Tom Hanks video. Oh, no, that's fake. That's fake because that's his brother. And then, of course, when he continued to not be in jail, and then he moved to, I guess, Greece, which I don't even know how much of that's actually true, or if he just bought like a house in Greece. Oh, he escaped. He escaped the Team Q because he moved to Greece. But that's proof. That's proof that he had the underground pedo dungeons. He just managed to get out of there just in time and make it to Greece. And now, in just a matter of days, it'll be Tom Hanks welcoming into these Q people's living rooms their living nightmare of President Biden and Kamala Harris. There's legit going to be Q suicides. There just is. There just is. You know, I had someone say, I think the other day, well, you're sending mixed signals because you're saying that Q made people not do anything and just trust the plan, but then you're also saying that Q made people go crazy, you know, and do stuff. So pick one or the other. I'm like, bitch, when I say I want the Q people to do something, I'm not saying I want the Q people to make an armored car and barricade themselves on the fucking Hoover Dam and say that they're going to stay there until the real OIG report gets released that is not even a thing because they believe in some stupid thing. That doesn't help anybody. When I say I want the Q people to do something, I don't mean they go crazy and shoot some mob boss's son at their mansion that has nothing to do with anything. I mean, other than the fact that look, probably someone that might, I don't know, look, he probably could have picked worse people to shoot, but like, again, that doesn't help us, okay? Which that happened to. I don't know if you guys, I'm not just making up examples. These are things that happened. All right, so when the Q people do something, quote unquote, it's never something helpful. It's always something that is destructive to them, to usually someone else, and to the movement at large. And as I've said before, it's just like with the Karens, right? You can use, in the right circumstances, you can use that crazy energy for good. That guy that made his own armored fucking car, for fuck's sake, he was dedicated. You could have channeled that energy into something constructive. But nope, now he's in jail because he believed Q. It's fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. So TikTok. I don't have high hopes that Trump will do the decent thing and pardon Assange. That'd be nice. Jack Posobiec apparently tweeted out some poll, and the results were like 96% in favor of releasing, pardoning Assange. And then he retweeted it and said, I've been told that Trump has seen this poll and is thinking about it. We better think fast. He's got 4 fucking days. And look, maybe he'll do it. And then at least it won't be a complete fucking waste. But really, honestly, and look, I hope he does it. And I'm not saying that, we owe Assange. But in terms of just pragmatically speaking, it won't change anything. It's not like Assange is going to, fuck, if I was him, I'd just retire. And the shit he's been through the last several years, I really doubt he's going to just start going after the deep state. All right. So let me take a look at chat here. But yeah, that's the other thing too. Don't simp for a politician. Don't be a pay pig for a politician. You can make fun of titty streamers and people that go to OnlyFans all you want, but if you're doing the same thing and Trump's not even showing you his tits, what does that make you? Let me take a look here. Have you seen Mouthy Budda pedogate stuff? Yeah, look. Some of his stuff it's again, it's just coincidences. Like the amazing Polly, right? She's the one that started the whole Wayfair thing. Like, oh yeah, look, these cabinets on Wayfair, they cost $20,000 and they have kid names, and so you can buy kids on Wayfair. No, you can't. That's not. First of all, that's not even remotely how they would do it. You think they would just have a website that's free to, and open to everybody, and you would just look up kidnap kids' names so that you could buy them? Does that sound like the way it would work to you? Of course not. And it also does, like look, the same, like, you gotta, these people, they'll see these coincidences, and rather than do the scientific thing, like, okay, so for example, in one of his videos, he's like, look, I found that if I find this number, I can Google it in this Russian, or, look it up on this Russian search engine, and it brings up like all these girls, like all these underage looking girls, right? Well, okay, well, maybe then look, I mean, that's weird, right? So how about try random numbers? And if he had done that, he would see that that's just, look, that search engine just comes up with some creepy shit. So it really had nothing to do with the specific number that he was looking up. Everything you look up with that fucking search engine comes up with creepy shit like that. That's just the way it is. I mean, you got to verify this stuff. But all too many people, again, like I keep saying, like, there is such thing as coincidences. And because of that, you have to double check your findings. You can't just be like, well, this can't possibly be a coincidence, so I'm just going to run with the ball here. And look, not everything. Look, it's been a long time since I saw his video, but the reason I'm being a little critical is I went through the same. I think what happens is when you first find out that elite pedophile stuff is real, the bottom drops out of your mind a little bit, because that's so outside of what you thought would be real. And so, because the same exact thing happened with me. So when the Pizzagate stuff was first happening, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And then the more I studied it, I was like, oh God, this looks like maybe this is, oh shit. And the video that I released on Pizzagate, it's still, everything in it is accurate. But there's a lot of stuff that's not in that video that I temporarily believed. Because it was just like, as soon as you realize how, like, once you see something that bad, like that outside of what you used to accept as reality, like I said, the bottom just drops out. And you're just kind of like falling in this darkness and just trying to grasp onto anything, because you're just like, I don't know where, I don't have any sure footing anymore. Like last week I would have said you were crazy if you said that there was a lot of pedophiles in the upper levels of the ruling class. That wouldn't even make sense to me. And now it's like, no, there absolutely is. And that's so crazy. That's so crazy that it kind of breaks a lot of other things in your brain that were like, oh, this can't possibly be true. It's like I was saying, there's some people, they find out that a couple of big things that they used to think were true aren't true. And then instead of, taking a step back and trying to evaluate reality again, just everything becomes not true. Now nothing's true, right? Now everything's fake. Everything's crisis actors. Everything's a plan. Everything's a stage. And look, not everything's fake, like, as someone that has lived a very weird life full of coincidences, I can tell you, sometimes weird shit just happens. Not everything has a plan behind it. I mean, fuck, I've had nights, random, like Tuesday nights, that when I walk out the door, I think are just going to be some kind of mundane, normal night. And by 4 a.m, I feel like I just lived through the weirdest movie ever produced. And there was never a plan to it. There was no one orchestrating that. It's just a series of events that happen to weirdly pan out. And that's just the way it is sometimes. Not everything's like this big fucking conspiracy. Now that said, there's obviously lots of conspiracies. The other mistake that's tied to this is people, and this is something Q would push because it helped. It helped keep people in this mindset. Q would repeatedly say, oh, these people are stupid. These people are stupid. They're not stupid. They're not fucking stupid. And then the flip side of that, there's some people that fall into the trap of thinking, well, of course they're not stupid. They're like super complicated. They're these super megalomaniac geniuses. And all of their plans are like these, multi-century long plans and they're all colluding together. No, they're definitely not that either. They're just, they're just people. They're evil people. Some of them are pretty high IQ. Some of them are not super high IQ. But those aren't the people pulling the strings either. All right. So let me take a look at chat here. Someone's saying the parents of the boomers are just as much to blame, if not more. Boomers were just kids, and men died in the war. Well, look. I mean, we've talked about how boomers were the first ones to be subjected to crazy propaganda. That's not entirely true. Their parents, radio, right, connected the world in a way that it was never connected. You used to have a lot of local flavor because you didn't have national radio. You didn't have everyone tuning in and listening to the same radio show every Thursday or whatever, right? And that was the beginning of it. It just wasn't as intense as what the boomers lived through. And so everyone, instead of reading like their local newspaper, which even then to that, like if you think about like the AP, like the Associated Press or Reuters or something like that, even if you read your local newspaper before radio, anything that was international news was coming from essentially a single source. Because every newspaper around the country was getting it from, usually via teletype, right? Like they would, I guess best way to put it's like a fax machine. It's like a mixture of Morse code and a fax machine. But someone in New York would tap in, this is the news story to all these newspapers around the country. And how would they know? Like how is some local newspaper in Las Vegas or in, Albuquerque going to send a reporter to Berlin? They're not. So they're all relying on some random reporter that's probably working for like the New York Times or something like that, that's then sending out this information to everyone around the country. So you have to give the same allowance to these guys. Because the idea that we all have a see, this is why they're deplatforming people. This is a first. This is the first time this technology has kind of backfired on them. Because before, the technology was used to communicate the same exact talking points to everyone in the country. Get everyone on the same page. Get everyone listening to the same information, the same radio shows, and then the same TV shows. Before that, even the same movies. And you're basically homogenizing all the different regions in the country. You're effectively making this melting pot lie that they're telling you about. They're becoming that melting pot instead of having these local cultures, having the local entertainment that you would have in one part of the country and have it be completely different than the dialect and the entertainment and the music and the culture in another part of the country. It all kind of got just squished together in this Jewish soup. Because look, it's just factual. Especially in the early days, Hollywood was almost actually it was more Jewish then than it is now. And all you have to do is look at the early life of all the people that ran NBC, ABC, and CBS prior to the war. That it was all coming from the same people. The message that the entire country was getting. And by the way, go to print, same thing. The New York Times. This is all the same people shaping the American culture, the American perception of the world around them. And this is the first time in history, since this technology has been introduced, that they no longer have a monopoly on that information. And look how quickly it broke down. Look how quickly it broke down. YouTube's been around a while, right? But people weren't necessarily going there. There was 9/11 videos and just, some conspiracy stuff like that. But there really wasn't enough of a... there were some people that did some good stuff. And there's some people that have been around a long time. But the audience really wasn't there. This is the first, just in really the last 5 years. It took less than 10 years for their stranglehold on the public's perception of the world around them to just totally crumble. That's why they have to deplatform people. They have to do it. Take a look here. Remember Sammy Davis Jr. was half Jewish? Sammy Davis Jr. Why why are you talking about Sammy Davis Jr.? You talking about this guy right here? Is this the guy you're talking about? Sammy Davis Jr. Is that Sammy Davis Jr.? I'm not sure if that's I don't know if that's the guy you're talking about. Is he half Jewish? I didn't know he was half Jewish. I don't know. Let's take a look here. Whoa. Someone said Telegram. What was it? Telegram censored and today Signal was hacked all day. This comes after that chunky woman Greenwald's article calling for censorship. I didn't think about the Telegram stuff. I saw people posting stuff saying that Signal was like CIA. I don't know. I don't use Signal, so I don't really care so much. The collapse is almost here. We'll make Cowboys our new game. Telegram is the only source that has not shadow banned the creators, but they are being threatened. Well, it's like I said, they have so far been able to dodge the bullet because they've been able to say, look, we're just a messaging platform. And that's not gonna last forever. And in fact, it's gonna serve as a gateway drug to go take it even further. I said this before. What they'll say is we have to get rid of Telegram. Telegram will say, well, we're just a messaging service. We're not a social media thing. And Apple will say, we don't give a fuck, and we're going to do it anyway. And then Telegram will start to censor unless, they look, maybe they've got bigger balls than I'm giving them credit for. But the problem is, once you cross into that territory, the next step, the next logical step is, because look, people will still want to keep communicating. And they'll move on to something else. Even if that something else is like conference calls or, group texts or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to have to be something. And the next step will be, okay, well, now we need Verizon to start deplatforming people from phone service because of text messages that they're sending or because of conference calls they're in. That will happen. That will absolutely happen. And in fact, I don't know how much further down the road this is, but that's why I focus so much on being self-sufficient, because once they deplatform you on one thing, that means that they have no problem. They're going to keep going with that. The second they started taking people's ability to have bank accounts away, something should have happened. Trump should have acted. But now Trump's the one getting deplatformed from banks because he didn't do jack shit. Because he was one of the worst presidents in the fucking history of the United States. Period. Anyone telling you that anything else is just a delusional faggot. That's just the way it is. It's a based Russian guy that owns Telegram. They really do smell blood, and they are going after Tucker Carlson. Well, whatever. Tucker Carlson, like I've said before, I don't give a shit about Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is a millionaire that works for billionaires, that's got a background that involves CIA connections that I'm not too comfortable with. Look, I'm not saying he works for the CIA, but his dad did, and he did apply for a job there, and then immediately afterwards started getting media jobs. He's also old money, and I don't trust people that come from money, period. If you come from money, I mean, you might as well look. It's like Trump. Trump came from money. His kids come from money. They're always going to be okay. They're always going to be okay. If you get the way that our system is structured, once you get a big enough pile of money, you have to really fuck things up to not be okay. So if you come from a family with a big enough pile of money, and guess what? God only knows what you had to do to get that big pile of money. God only knows what your family has done. There's a reason why Jesus said it's easier to put a camel through the eye of a needle than a rich man to go to heaven. And by the way, what does that mean? What does that metaphor mean? What does it mean? A camel can't go through an eye of a needle, right? It can't. So he's not saying it's hard. He's saying you can't. A rich man can't go to heaven, is what he's saying. Until you show me someone that can shove a fucking camel through the eye of a needle, what his metaphor means is you can't. Let's see. Okay. Rich man, no heaven. Exactly. Simple as that. We could turn the camel to liquid. Okay, well, I guess we could. Okay, well, we'll say that. All right, if the rich man liquidates his assets, then all right, maybe he can get into heaven. He applied for the CIA, but they told him he wasn't gay enough. Well, that's the official story. And then he immediately got jobs at all these media places. And then miraculously was chosen to take over the most popular slot on Fox News. When he really wasn't that popular before. He really wasn't. Michael Savage worked for MSNBC also. Well, Michael Savage is also Jewish. His last name, I don't think, is really Savage. In fact, I don't even know if his first name is actually Michael. He was involved with the Black Panthers at one point. Michael Weiner. Oh yeah, that's Michael Savage. Is Michael Weiner. That's his real name. Savage called you a Nazi, huh? Yeah, look, here's the thing. The Jewish influence on the right is nothing new. When I was younger and I listened to lots of talk radio, I had no idea why they were all Jewish, because I kind of got the idea that they were, because they didn't lie. I mean, a lot of them didn't make a secret out of it. You know, Michael Medved, Dennis Prager, Michael Savage, Mark Levin. I mean, there's probably more that I'm not thinking of, but they didn't make a secret out of it. And I just remember thinking, well, this is weird. Like, why are there so many Jews? And then honestly, because I was a young kid and I just didn't know any better, my brain put that together as, oh, well, Jews must just be really conservative, right? To have this many Jews, they must just be really conservative. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. The eye of the needle is seriously not literal, guys. It's a metaphor, dude. Do you know how metaphors work? Do you know how metaphors work? Because you're the way you're talking, I get the idea that you don't know how metaphors work. If I say it's easier to put a camel through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven, the way metaphors work, for the metaphor to work, and the guy that came up with this metaphor is the Son of God, so I'm pretty sure he's like good at, choosing his words, right? The way metaphors work, that means it's impossible. Because it's impossible to put a camel through an eye of a needle. It's impossible. You can't do it, right? So the way a metaphor works is if that's impossible, then the rich man going into heaven is also impossible. That's the way a metaphor works. He didn't say it's easier to put a camel into a Volkswagen Bug than it is for a rich man to go to heaven. No, he purposely picked something that would be impossible. He didn't choose something that was difficult or hard no, he picked something that was, here's something that's impossible. And that is how possible it is for a rich man to go to heaven. It's impossible. That's how metaphors work. I don't know how you, look, it's pretty simple to figure out, all right? Because if you're super rich, why do you have all that money when you're dead? You clearly didn't use it in service to your Lord. Right? If you were doing God's work, why would you have a few million in the bank when that money could be going to, I don't know, the poor? It could go a million different places. You can't be rich. And look, there's a gradient, right? When I say rich, I don't mean like you can't be middle class and go to heaven. I mean like rich, like Oprah rich, like Trump rich, like Elon Musk rich. Why a camel, though? Because people would know what a camel is in the desert. Everyone knew how big a camel was. Do you think most of these paper conservatives don't want the inevitable to happen because they will lose their money? Yeah, no, exactly. They're fine. They're fine playing this game. They've been playing this game for the last, their whole life. Oh no, we lost again. Oh well, time to fundraise again so we can beat those Democrats before they turn us into a socialist country. Oh look, we won. Well, you better send us some more money because we just have the House now. So as soon as we can get the Senate, then we can really get some of that stuff done. Oh, thanks for sending all that money. We got the Senate. Now we just need to win the presidency, and then we can really pass that stuff. We can get all that stuff you want done. Just send us lots of money. Oh, we got the presidency. Oh, but the courts are stopping us. Well, that's why we got to keep the presidency, so he can put in the judges that we need. Oh, the judges didn't do what we want. Oh, well, it's because the Groypers are anti-Semitic. Better luck next time. Why would they want that to stop? Why would they want something that might happen that would put their money, let alone their lives, in jeopardy? They're perfectly okay. Tucker is perfectly okay with the way things are, believe me. Tucker's got real money. Tucker doesn't have to worry about shit. There could be a Biden presidency every fucking term for the rest of Tucker's life, and he'll always be okay. And that goes for all these people and the majority of these grifters. In fact, it's almost better because then they can, oh look, we need to defeat Biden. Better send me lots of money so that we can defeat Biden. The last thing they want is for this status quo to go away. The status quo is what feeds them. And look, there's just some people that are just scared. There's some people that know what's coming, and they're just scared. And they're in denial of it because they're scared. We don't exactly have a courageous group of people on the right. We just don't. We don't have a courageous nation. America is a nation of pussies. It just is. Check your email. I'll check it. Someone told me to check it last night, and I checked it last night, and there was nothing in there, unless it went to spam, and I just didn't see it. But I'll check it again after the show. Trump was playing 6D chess all along. Seriously, his frame up against the right is masterful. Watch for Trump to be rewarded big. Well, look, I think it's entirely possible that just like, after they were done making Bush the evil guy, they dragged him back out of retirement, and he's posing with Obama, and they're hanging out and laughing and doing like the ice bucket challenge and all that gay shit. Look, Trump's a little older, but I think there's a good chance that swear to God, that you see stuff like that with Trump. That there might be a time when Trump and Obama are doing the ice bucket challenge next to side by side and doing high fives and shit like that. Maybe not. Maybe not, because maybe they want to maintain the idea that Trump is this evil specter of white supremacy, and that works out better for him. There are some presidents that don't get dragged out as much, like Jimmy Carter. He was also someone the deep state didn't like, so they didn't want to use him ever. In fact, that's why he was always the butt of every joke. When I was a kid, I didn't know who the fuck he was. I just knew that, like, apparently he was like a really bad president because there's lots of jokes about him being bad. And then you find out that he was like the first president to not start a war. And you're like, oh, so he was probably kind of cool. And then you find out that after he was president, he was out literally with hammers and nails building houses for people, homeless people, with that nonprofit. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but he built houses. Like he didn't just do photo ops. He literally, with hammers and nails and saws and shit, was out there framing up houses and stuff. He wasn't writing these fucking books and collecting all these speaking fees and all that stuff. So I suspect Jimmy Carter was probably a pretty awesome president. Someone just said Carter was probably the last non-psychopathic president. Yeah. He was probably like a normalish amount. Someone said, did D-Live say anything about taking away donations? I haven't got any warnings, but that's entirely possible because I guess that happened to Adam Green today. But I haven't had anything pop up. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the case. And if that is the case, maybe we'll just move the Trovo like everybody else is, right? Have you or are you going to join the Freedom Cell network founded by Derrick Broze? I don't know who that is. What's your advice to a 21-year-old that wants to move to rural Wyoming on property to try to hide from globohomo? Well, it depends. If you have the property already, just like I said, with property, the biggest thing, here's the things you got to worry about. If you just have the property, are you going to build? Are you going to put a trailer on it? Are you going to, how are you going to live on it? Do you have water? Do you have electricity? It's complicated and it's not the easiest thing. Plus, do you have access? Like if you buy like one of these plots of land, there's online or something like that. Is it like something that you can't even access with unless you have a helicopter? There's a lot of shit you got to look into when you do that. Excuse me. And one of the things you also got to look at is just community. Are you just going to be out there like a hermit for the rest of your life? I mean, if you're 21, you probably want to be able to meet a girl and stuff like that still. So is it too far away for that to be a realistic possibility? So I would just consider a lot of stuff and just take your time doing it. There's no rush, it's going to get worse, but like, unless you're on like someone's shit list, I don't think you have anything to worry about so much. Trailers are based. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like them, but they're better than my place actually. There's trailers that are much nicer than the bunker. I'll give you that much. And it is cheap and easy. It's a quick way to, and you can get used trailers shockingly cheap. I almost got a used trailer a while back. And there's some trailers you can get for free if you just move it off their property. They just want someone to come and take it. Now that's not free. It's not cheap to just go do that. That's a big part of the cost. Plus, if it's like some old ass trailer, who knows what's wrong with it? So let's see here. Nope, chat seems to have frozen up. No, it's starting to go again. I'm thinking of buying a 20K shack in the desert with solar water just in case for now. Yeah, I mean, like an existing shack. If you're going to do that, again, just make sure that it's livable. And you got to remember with the desert, it'll turn into like Carl's place real fast. If like Carl's place is like full of rats and like, there's the killer bees that'll make beehives and snakes and all this other stuff. So just make sure you can secure the property. You also have to worry about property damage depending on which desert you're in and how close you are to things. There's like tweakers out in the desert that might want to just smash your windows and try to rob you. And especially if you have like solar panels on your roof, that they might want to steal those or whatever. And so it's, there's no real quick, easy answer when it comes to should I do this with property? It's like there's a lot you have to consider. I figure I would maintain the shack for a month, a year, spending time camping. Yeah. No, it's not a bad idea. If it's not like a big financial thing for you, then I would say do it. If you've got the cash, if you have the ability to pay cash for it, usually the property tax out in the desert is next to nothing. So if you've got the cash to do it, I'd say do it. Stack, if you even get tired of scorpions, South Dakota is recruiting patriots. I'm trying to think if I think when I was a kid, I went to South Dakota. But just briefly. I was just driving through. Talk more about Carl one day. Did I find anything cool inside? No, it's mostly just weird shit. A lot of porn. Like a lot of porn. Like a scary amount of porn. And I still haven't... There's still porn out there. I still haven't been able to get rid of all the porn. Like, there's still, like, a room that has boxes of fucking porn in there, and it's... I was thinking about maybe doing, like, a video where I'm burning porn, but I don't know. I also have, like, a... Because it's all VHS tapes. I've got, like, this eraser. It's just like a giant electromagnet. And I was thinking about just erasing all the tapes and then selling them on eBay as blank tapes, which you really can't get a lot of money for, but people still buy. Like, you know, they'll buy VHS tapes for some reason. But yeah, lots of weird stuff. There's lots of... The weirdest thing I found was a book. In fact, I have it here. A book that's older than America. I'm not kidding. I'm opening it up right now. And it is from I feel like I'm opening the Constitution right now. It's from 17... Where's the dates on here somewhere? Wish I could show you guys this thing. Like it's in Old English. Like it's hard to... There we go. Like it's just not older than America, but it's about as old as America. It's from 1797. And I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, this book's from 1797? Maybe this is worth something. And the interesting thing about it, apparently it's like an accounting book. Like it tells you how to do accounting. And it's like really weird. Like the English in it is weird. Like the spelling is weird. Like they use like the F instead of S and stuff like that. And it is the first instance that a dollar sign has appeared in writing. And I was like, oh, that's got to be worth something, right? I got this book from the 1700s, and it's the first instance of a dollar sign. And then I looked it up, and it's just like, it's like $50, you know? Because it's like a textbook, so I guess they had a lot of them. But it's still cool. It's cool looking at this thing and thinking like, holy crap, this is old, you know? And it's very detailed. And it's so hard to understand. It kind of does make me feel like they were just smarter back then. And look, part of it's just because it's a lot of it's hard to grasp because it's so long ago. It's just different than obviously how we talk about stuff. But it does just seem like, damn, like whoever this was useful for had to have been at least relatively high IQ. Because this is not like an easy primer. But yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Is this book that I've got right here in my hand. I'm going to stick it back in the drawer here. And unfortunately, it was not worth anything. I don't know why I had it. It was just in this drawer. I was like, what is this? Let's see here. I had a farmer's almanac from 1812. That's pretty cool. Look at the people who made the King James Version. 54 of the smartest people who ever lived. Weird to think probably a lot of those old VHS porn actresses are dead. Yeah, well, he didn't just have VHS porn. He had like old, like 60s porn. He had porn on film, like 8mm film reels of porn. Not a lot of those, but there was a few of those. Please check out what? I have a history book, pre-Civil War, has colorized map in it, shows most of the West as territories, not yet states. That's pretty cool. Is Devon Stack you on Trovo? Yes, I think so. Because someone had blackpilled already, So I am Devon Stack on Trovo. I'll post the link on my Telegram. And because if DLive has taken the monetization away, which it sounds like it has from what people are saying, then we'll just move the Trovo. Jake Morphonius is a Mormon Freemason liar. Is he Mormon? I didn't know he was Mormon. I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know much about him. I just know he was like he really hates Trump, and he wasn't very articulate about it. So it kind of just looked like a kid whining and complaining about it, you know? He was not like he would try to be funny and it would just never land. I thought he had done something. I thought he had done some good work though with the Vegas shooting or something like that. I don't know. He also does ASMR. I didn't know that. More importantly, he's a liar. I don't know. I haven't watched any of his content in a really long time. Last time, like I said, I think I saw some of his stuff during the Vegas stuff, and even then, I don't remember much about it. When do you think the breakdown is going to happen? I think 4 to 10 years before shit hits the fan. Well, I don't know. I don't think that's a crazy estimate. I don't think sooner is a crazy estimate either. I think, in fact, I would say it's kind of already hit the fan, right? It just hasn't been flung around the room yet. Did you get stuck cleaning up Carl's affairs just because you were his neighbor and there was no one else to deal with it? Sort of, in a way. I mean, that's how I got it. Was no one wanted it because it was just awful. There was someone that tried to clean it up before I did, and that's the scary thing, is they actually hauled off like 3 truckloads of shit before I even got there, like full on U-Haul trucks, and I can't imagine like how that was possible because there's just still so much shit in there. Like I can't how much shit was in there before. Like 3 full trucks. Actually, they told me that was 3 trucks pulling a trailer. Like each truck load also included a trailer load. And look, I believe it, I guess, but Jesus Christ. Sell Carl's rare porno. Well, here's the thing. 1, that would make me a pornographer, so I don't want to do that. But 2, it wouldn't even really, I don't think it'd be worth anything anyway. I don't think there's collectors of VHS porno or anything like that. Hoarding is a mental illness. Absolutely. Entropy chat will allow us to donate future reference. Yeah, Entropy I keep wanting to set up, and then I haven't had a need for it in the same way that I guess I sort of do now. I left all my stuff behind. I missed some of it, but it's very freeing. Yeah, there's been a couple times in my life that when I've moved, I've literally thrown away almost everything. And because I think that a lot of people, especially if you like to build stuff, if you like to tinker and make stuff, like with me, what I end up having too much of is like computer parts, right? Because I'm always like, well, I never know when I might need another power supply. You never know when you might need another case fan. Well, this I probably won't use this this extra stick of RAM, but because it's old. But maybe I'll need one. And it's just you never use that stuff. You literally never use it. And but because you never know, and sometimes. See, the way your brain justifies it is usually you do throw it all away, and then like the next week you're like, oh, damn it, I need that fucking stick of RAM. I knew I needed it. But it's so what? You know, like it's almost like a cost benefit thing. Okay, let's say you might need that stick of RAM the second you throw it away. How much does that stick of RAM, like out of all the stuff that you threw away, let's say you throw away like 3 big boxes of crap. And then it turns out you needed like one thing in those 3 big boxes of crap. Okay, well then buy that thing. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth the like $20 or whatever it is that piece of crap that you need to go buy now costs. It's worth that $20 to be rid of those 3 boxes of crap. A good way to cleanse is you go around, and if you can't think of an immediate use for whatever that is, whatever that thing is, you get rid of it. If you can't think of like a specific use, like not like but what if I need, no. Are you using it? Do you have plans to use it? I'll even give you some wiggle room. In the next 3 months, do you have plans to use it? No? Get rid of it. And if it's something that's sentimental, but you have like a lot of stuff, so like you could use that excuse for everything, so don't do that, then another good way to free your mind from wanting to hang on to this sentimental thing, take a bunch of pictures of it. Take a bunch of pictures of it. Take a bunch of pictures of it and store it somewhere and get rid of it. Now, if it's, sentimental, like that big, whatever it is, the rocking horse, whatever the fuck it is, you can look at the pictures of it. Because that's what you're going to do if you keep it, right? You're just going to look at it. You're not going to use it. You're not going to ride the rocking horse from when you were 6 or, whatever the fuck this thing is, right? You're just going to look at it and be like, oh, nostalgia. Well, then just look at the picture. You don't need it. Get rid of it. That's how you unclutter your life. In fact, I'm kind of doing spring cleaning right now, and I'm doing a lot of the same thing. Because it's like I've got like I said, I've got a few boxes of. I'm always doing, well, not so much these days, but there was a time in my life where I was always doing computer projects. I was building like MAME arcade machines. I built pinball machines from scratch, using Arduinos and all this other stuff. And like, that was just like I like to tinker. I like to build stuff. And so you end up just having like all these weird things, all these electronic switches and wires and, circuit boards and Raspberry Pis and monitors. And you just have like all this shit that you're probably not going to ever use. And it's just, losing value every single day because computer parts usually don't, like, maybe there's a small chance, like, especially maybe if it was a top of the line video card or something like that, maybe like in 40 years, someone will want it, like maybe, because like there's always like retro computer guys. And so like maybe, but it's not worth it. If it's something that you can't really make money off of now on eBay, and don't just be like, well, I'm going to sell it. No, make the listing right now. Take the pictures of it right now. List it right now. And if you and look, and if it's not worth the time to do that, then just fucking throw it away. If it's not worth your time to take a couple pictures and to list it on eBay and then to have to package it up and drive, and it might not be. A lot of the stuff you'll find when you really think about this is not worth it. And package it all up and then drive it out to UPS or wherever and pay the postage. Like let's say that you sold it for $30, but now you still got to pay $10 postage to send, so you're only making $20. Is it worth it? Is it worth that $20 to like, spend all that time doing that? And maybe it is. Maybe it is. But a lot of times it's not. And instead of saying like, yeah, but like I could make 20, but it's not worth it. Your time is worth more than that. So just fucking throw it away. Or if if you don't want to throw it away, give it to Goodwill. If it's actually worth something, I'm sure there's still some of these consignment places that you can sell it at. But a lot of times it's just junk, especially if it's like computer parts, video game stuff, camera equipment is another thing. I've got like weird old cameras and stuff like that. more than I need. Like there's some that I will actually use and that I still use from time to time to get like a particular look, like a VHS look to things and stuff like that. But I have too many. And it's just there's no market for that. In fact, that's why I have too many, because it was really cheap, and I was like, oh wow, I remember when that camera used to be $20,000 and now it's only $30. I'll take two. Like an idiot, So just clear out everything that you need to get rid of in your life. Now's the time to do it. Spring cleaning. I mean, it's still winter, right? But it's going to be spring right around the corner. And you're all, a lot of you guys are locked up in your house most of the time anyway. So you're starting to be around this clutter all the time. And that's going to affect, we make fun of Jordan Peterson, but he wasn't wrong about the clean your room thing. In fact, something that I would add to that, especially if you're working from home. I think a lot of people that are working from home end up having to deal with this, and it takes a long time for them to identify possibly what's behind it. And as someone, let me clarify this a little bit. So when I've been working from home for a really, really, really long time, way before any of this COVID stuff, right? For several years, I've been working from home, by and large. Even when there's like an office technically, I would usually have better equipment at home. And I would just tell my boss, look, I can render this in half the time at home. I'm going home. And so I've worked from home in fact, I would say most of my career, I've worked from home. And the trap that you usually fall into, and usually it starts to happen because you're working so hard. A lot of times, like especially if you have a computer job, but if you're working from home, that's usually the case. You find yourself working really late, and then you're like, oh, I gotta sleep, and then you go to bed, and then you wake up, and then there's gonna be times, especially if it's like a long project that you're busting your ass on, you're not showering maybe that day, You're just wearing your pajamas all day, maybe, because you're like, well, why? Well, who cares? No one's gonna see me. I'm just gonna be behind my computer all day. And this happens a couple of times, and it's not even that it lowers your productivity at your job, but what it does is it almost makes you agoraphobic. Because the initial logic is, well, I'm not going to get dressed and get fancy because I'm not going to the office. Who am I trying to impress? I'm just going to be at my computer, right? So you don't, and you just look like shit, and who cares? But then if you get in a habit of doing that, like of not getting dressed like you're going to the office, you don't want to go outside at all because you look like shit. You don't want people to see you like that because you look like a fucking mess. And so it basically turns you a little agoraphobic. You just turn into like this little fucking gross weirdo at your computer, not ever venturing out into the real world. And if you do, it's like, oh well, I'm just gonna go to a drive-through because I don't want anyone to see me like this. I'm just gonna stay in my car and just roll the window down and be like, give me the food, and roll it back up real fast and drive real fast. Hopefully no one sees you, going between the door and the car. So my advice is for the people that are working from home these days, dress up. Like, yeah, do the Jordan Peterson thing, clean your room, wash your penis and all that stuff. But dress up like you're going to go to the office every day. Every day, dress up like you're going to see someone, even if you're not going to. Because if for some reason during the day you're like, oh, you know what, I should run outside and do this real quick, you're not going to have the part of your brain saying, no, don't do that. You look like shit right now. Always look presentable. Always dress like you're going to meet someone important. Within reason. You don't have to wear like a fucking tuxedo every day at work. I'm just saying, dress up. Even out here in the desert, and look, I don't always follow my own advice, especially if I'm working on a video that's really long. Sometimes I look like shit for a couple days, right? But even when I'm out here and there's really no one I'm going to see except for maybe my neighbor, I'm so much more productive if first thing in the morning, even though if I know I'm gonna be staying in, and working on a video or whatever, I'm even more productive with the video if I get ready like I'm going to an office. Like I, get up, take a shower, shave, get dressed, do something with my hair a little bit, and just look like a normal human. And then even if I never leave the house, I'm just sitting at my desk working on stuff, I'm more productive. I don't know why, but it's true. All right, let's take a look here. You get dressed up because one day that base trad QTE is going to break down near the bunker. Exactly. Or I'll see her at the gas station. The gas station lady kind of likes me. This is not a good development. I still have... All right. You said you're out of shape. Are you by any chance a heckin' chonker or a fellow lanklet? I'm guessing you're saying, am I like super skinny or super fat? I'm neither one, but I'm definitely chubby. That's the thing. Like, look, I sit down for a living. A lot of people have the COVID weight right now. I basically have the COVID weight right now. Only it's not because of COVID. It's because, it's winter is a part of it too. But the rucking is melting that shit away. I'll tell you that much. And it's not just melting that shit away. You'll build some muscle. The only thing I need to do a better job at is, and I just don't have like a weight bench, is I need to do something with arms and chest and shoulder. I need to do upper body. And I've got some resistance bands, and I just don't use them as much as I should. I just like free weight so much better, and that's just an excuse, I guess, but it's true. But yeah, that's the only thing. Like, rucking doesn't do much for your upper body, but it does. It'll. I mean, if you're carrying enough weight and you're doing enough miles, that weight will drip right off. Black pill Chungus. I'm not Chungus. Do your push-ups. That is actually what I should do, is push-ups. Bunker has a welder? No, my bunker does not have a welder. I could see your thickness in the Killer Bee video. Hey, the Killer Bee, that's a bee suit. That's not a form-fitting bee suit. But yeah. I had some of my thickness in that video. That's true. Does this bee suit make me look fat? Let's see here. I'm working out, losing weight, while all the women are turning into whales. Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. I guess not that weird. They're being, women, I think, women can't lose weight as easily, and they gain weight faster, I think. I mean, men can lose weight. I mean, look, if you just stop eating, you don't have to work out or anything. If you just started eating like, if you just did like a variation of the Atkins diet, right? If you just ate like fucking steaks and bacon, you'll lose it quick. You'll lose like a pound a day, maybe that might be a little, but maybe a pound every other day, right? Like, men lose weight pretty fast without like a whole lot of work. And women are being told they're beautiful and powerful and attractive no matter what they look like. And so, more muscle, lose fat faster. Exactly. Well, that's why I think rucking is so good. Because your lower body will get me. I got calf muscles that are fucking insane now. Put some amphetamines in your black pills. Bacon is keto. Yep. Well, again, I make sure that the bacon doesn't have like brown sugar or something weird on it. Sometimes they do that. But yeah, if you just eat meat, And again, you got to like look at the labels. But if you just eat meat and eggs and that's it, you'll lose weight. Even if you have like a lot of fat and a lot of calories. Now, I would suggest you don't eat a lot of fat and eat a lot of calories because you'll just feel sick all the time and just gross. And usually it's like self-regulating if you just eat meat, because if you just start eating bacon all the time, you will just feel sick and gross. And so you'll automatically dial back the bacon, or, whatever it is you're eating, because you're going to just feel gross every time you eat it if you don't. But it's super easy for guys to lose weight. Meat is boring, though. Exactly. That's why you'll self-regulate. You'll stop eating as much. Bone broth. Yeah, I'm a big fan of bone broth. You need to have lots of cartilage. You need, what is that? What's that thing in cartilage? It's on the tip of my tongue. All the Q people are pushing it. They're selling it now. That's basically, the funny thing is they're selling this. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's someone in chat's going to know what it is. The stuff that's in cartilage that everyone's trying to sell. No, not marrow. Collagen. That's it. Collagen. So there's all these people pushing like the collagen stuff, like, oh yeah, and it's like really fucking expensive. But if you just buy flavorless Jell-O, like the Knox gelatin, it's like 1/10 of the price, and it has the same shit in it. In fact, people have known that for a long time. Like, old people have been eating Knox gelatin for collagen for like decades. It's not like there's some big secret. That these hucksters have just rebranded it. "6 years in the infantry, and I can attest that rucking will begin to ruin your knees if you overdo it." Yep. Yep. Now, you don't want to go too crazy with it. And you can always take trekking poles if you're having trouble with your knees. I have no problem with my knees. Anti-whites accomplished more in 4 years under Trump than they did in 8 years under Obama. I would say there's an argument for that. Especially with a heavy pack. Yeah, it matters like the terrain you're on, how heavy your pack is. Like, look, I think it's good to do like the 50 or 60 pound ruck marches every once in a while, but that's certainly not what I want to do every night, What boots do I wear? I just wear some cheap ass boots. I do not have good boots. I don't have any money for good boots. Good boots cost you at least $300, and I just have like some cheapo $50 boots that I got off of eBay, and they're not bad, but I will want to upgrade at some point. Cross-country desert skiing. Yes, they are eBay boots. I have so many good boots and shoes from thrift stores. The only thing I don't like about used boots is they always have like the imprint of someone else's foot. And it just seems like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right when it's been broken in by someone else. Because everyone has like different shaped foot and they walk differently. And so even if it's not even like the imprint of your foot inside the boot, it's the way that the boot has been worn on the outside. So, because, everyone... Maybe you scuff your right foot every time you take a step, and so like it wears off part of the heel or whatever. And so every time I bought used shoes, I've regretted it. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap things up here. I know it's kind of a short stream tonight, but it's almost 3 a.m. and I'm a little bit tired. I still haven't figured out my sleep schedule yet. But I hope you guys have understood that Team Trump is not on your side. Team Trump thinks that you are right-wing extremists. Team Trump will throw you under the bus at its first opportunity. And just to remind you one more time, this is what they think of Groypers.
That riot was set up by Antifa, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're the fringe right, crazy, radical ones that are they don't belong with MAGA country and Trump supporters.
Some of these guys have been arrested with stuff where they're threatening to kill the president because he supports Israel. It's that bad. And there's a third group we can't identify yet. That riot was set up by Antifa, by another group called Groyper, which is a right-wing group, but a right-wing group that has a gripe with Trump because he's pro-Israel. They happen to be a bunch of sick anti-Semites.
Yeah.
All right, you group of sick anti-Semites. For Black-Pilled, I am Devon Stack.
A felon, gangster, mafiotic, necroidic, the black Frank Gelada, a gangster judge, therefore unprosecutable, the blackish, menial, necroidic in appearance and demeanor, felon, vicious, parroting puppet, ex-district attorney, Nassau County, and watch my Frankenstein eyesight television playback of this felonious, lowly, sodomistic display by the felon, sodomist Judge William Sullivan and his lowly felon slut wife during my trial in Nassau